on out, guys.
Thank you. Wow, fun day, huh?
Have a seat, guys.
So nice to see the next generation.
Right here. You can sit on the couch right there. Yeah, down the mic down.
Kids and grandkids. It's going to be exciting, really exciting. And loved I've got about 500 patches now from all over the world. And all the kits and equipment look really good today, really is. I'm proud of you all. Thank you so much.
From Dan. So we were saying in the previous panel, this is the day, the 35th anniversary of Ghostbusters. Ivan already shared some memories from the debut of that film. What do you guys remember from the opening, from actually getting people to see the film?
After we made it.
After you made it, like the opening weekend, what do you recall from that time?
Recall driving around and seeing lines around the theater and looking and saying, well, that's screening number 1. We'll see if they're still there after number 2 or 3. And I think all of us did cruise wherever we were and went to where the movie was playing. I was in LA at the time.
I told them earlier how confident and cocky we all were. And while we were making the film, and we had a real strong sense of where this was going to go. But we still showed up on Friday night to make sure there was somebody actually there.
Yeah. Well, you never know in the picture business, but we felt we had something here that was, that was unique and that would work. Everybody who read it from the very beginning, even my sort of inaccessible first script, which had a lot of the movie in it, but there were things there that we couldn't use and threw out, but everybody understood the concept, what we're going after, and yeah, we're all here today because of it.
Ernie, how about you? What do you remember about the debut and people's reaction to Winston?
Yeah, I mean, I've been working. I did a movie called Space Center with actually Ivan produced the year before. And I remember it was nice. The movie didn't really do business, but there was a magic about this movie from the time I read the script and got the part. We were in New York rehearsing, shooting in New York. Some of it was a build-up, but you weren't sure what it was. And then when it opened, it was like it was electricity. I mean, the song kicked off, and suddenly it was everywhere, including my apartment, which I had on Pico Boulevard in West LA, and fans would show up and knock on the door. It was crazy, but it was just suddenly it was like a breakthrough, and it was just a different time. It was very exciting, very exciting.
William, were you prepared for the world to fall in love with Walter Peck?
I was greatly surprised. I think asking about remembering when it opened, it was making it, I have to tell you, was such a joy. Because, I was a New York actor at the time, and my vanity was on stage and Broadway and things like that. And I did movies that did very well critically, but didn't make a lot of money. And I felt, pretty much the artiste. But when I began working on this movie, there was an electricity and a fellow feeling that was absolutely unique. And it created its own art. Being on that set was such a joy. And seeing the movie for the first time, I went, yes, that's what I remember. That's what I remember making this movie. And that, I tell you, for an actor, that the bus only hits you once with that. And the bus really hit me hard. So if everybody fell in love with Walter, I kind of fell in love with Walter. I mean, I kind of felt, he's the guy with the inhaler on the 7th grade in the playground, and he finally got something, and he wasn't going to give it up. That's kind of how I felt about it.
I think he's one of the great antagonists. I mean, he's sort of apart from Gozer, the villain of the story. But in a way, he's right. You've got these yahoos running around with analyzers, nuclear accelerator in their backs. He's from the EPA. He's there to protect us and give us clean air.
Well, you know,
can you bring it back for Walter?
Yeah, but I
Peck?
mean, with Ivan, you know, giving the platform. It's a director's medium and the writer's medium, and there was the platform to create that, and that doesn't happen that often. That's unique. And so, you know, you don't do it by yourself. You do it because somebody gives you a seat on the bus. And that essentially was it.
Today, of course, with the present administration, Walter Peck would go, it's all been deregulated. You guys are running a ticket, man, whatever you want. You have tax successful in the basement, no problem. It's commerce. It's commerce.
I hope with all of you know Walter's great virtues, that feeling everything that's going on now, he wouldn't particularly care for it, but maybe I'm hoping for the best.
I feel like if Venkman hadn't been rude to him with that magic word scene, they could have just shown him what they had. Okay, these guys seem to know what's going on. It might have been, it was that clash that set it off.
You didn't say the magic word.
But you know, when you act a scene with Murray, you're kind of, as an actor, your method involvement is terror. Because you're trying to get through that and see what is going to happen next. So I was very grateful for Bill.
Was that a scripted moment, the magic word thing, or did he make that up?
I can't remember. I think it was in the script. But the magic word was, yes.
Dan, could you talk to me about, you went through various versions of the script, and then Ivan was telling us in the previous panel about Harold joining on and the crafting of the final version. How did the casting of actors, lead to the tailoring of each individual character, even choosing which part you wanted to play? Did you feel that Ray Stantz evolved once you knew you were going to be the guy in that?
You know, we needed that great comic leading man, and of course, just knowing that Billy was going to do that character, you're going to shape a certain voice, knowing that you've got him to use. And Harold and I were really kind of more utility players, you know, just in terms of delivering exposition and that. You know, our performances are earnest, and
I totally disagree with everything he said.
Harold's voice and skepticism came out, and then we hired a great actor to play Ernie, you know, the everyman who comes into it, with a little, just a sense of bewilderment, he played so beautifully, and then became a, you know, founding member of our group. So sure, you know, whatever actor we hired would shape the part, and of course Louis Tully, you know, the Moranis part, you know, once he gave voice to that, boy, we knew we were off to some a stream of comic gold there.
I think Ivan wants to disagree and weigh in on what you just said.
When we started thinking about the three characters, because it started as three, and we always thought, okay, well, Spengler's the brains. He's the brains. And
Harold was the brains.
And Danny's so hard. He's got such a great big heart all the time, both as Dan Aykroyd and as Ray Stantz in this movie. So he was the heart, and of course, Venkman was the mouth. He was the salesman. He was the guy who always had the fast quip, and really we used that kind of thinking as a way of building the thing.
And Winston was the backbone, right? He's the tough one.
Yes.
Ernie, we were just talking the other day about the strength that he brings to this team of guys who are pinwheeling around and blasting up hotels. How did you feel you helped shape the character that was on that page?
I don't know if there's a steady paycheck in it. It was a wonderful character, and you know, thanks to Ivan and Danny, you know, I don't know, you know, it was sort of a different place for me. So it was a learning experience. It was a lot going on, and you look back on it and you kind of go, oh, you know, to me, sitting in the theater, watching it for the first time, seeing the scene with Bill Murray and the girl and the flashcards, and I go seeing the librarian, seeing this man say, "Can I please see the?" Suddenly you realize this is what we've been doing, and this is what I was, because you're kind of all sort of making sense, and you're in the middle of something, but what it is, it wasn't clear until I think the first time I said Washington.
Rick Moranis was not in the movie originally. In fact, I was thinking of getting John Candy as the neighbor down the hall from Dana Barrett. I just worked with John in his first movie, Stripes, along with the other guys, and I sent Candy our first script. I don't remember this, Danny. Candy calls me up and he says, I don't get this, but maybe if I could play him with a German accent. And
have dogs.
And I'd like a couple of big German shepherds. I said, you can't have German shepherds. There's these dogs on the roof. It's gonna be confusing to everybody. And he finally passed. And I knew Rick Moranis from Second City in Canada, and I knew him just as a friend in Canada. And I called him up and I said, look, will you please read this? I have sent it to John Candy, who has now decided not to do it because I just worked with him. But I'm a big fan of yours, Rick. Please take a look. He called me, 30 minutes after he got the script, and he said, John Candy's crazy. This is great. I want to do this. And he really invented it. I told him we didn't really have a character. We knew he was going to be an annoying neighbor. That's sort of the idea that we had. And he's just sort of building this character for himself, line by line, costume by costume, and it just did a spectacular job.
And the movement, the way he moved, his whole body language. It's one of the great performances. Yeah, just beautiful. Wore his heart on his sleeve. He just loved Louis Tully. Yeah.
William, what do you feel you were able to bring to Peck, and what qualities were you most proud of layering into him?
Well, I think what I said was that he's one of those people, he had little and he got to some kind of place where he could wear something like a suit and had some kind of power. And it's one of those times when you haven't had anything, you finally get something and you're not going to give it up. And that's what it was. Also, there was another interesting thing when Theone Aldrich, who did the costumes, and we were talking, and I was trying to visually think how to embody that. And we made a couple of decisions. And the decision that she first suggested, which I realized was really genius from her, was that we keep me looking the same. I never change my suit. I wear the same thing. We make a little Phi Beta Kappa pin that he wears all the time because that is signature thing and his signature accomplishment in life so far. And maybe change the tie, but just a little bit because you don't want to get too crazy. And just a little here, a little there, and then you show your power. And if your power is contested, it's obviously unethical and wrong and deeply insulting. And that's how the path of life is for him. And I didn't find that hard. Also, it's a collaborative thing. I could come up with all these ideas, but in the scenes that we had with how Ivan orchestrated all of it, and we all were, everybody else was so cool. It was New York, and we all kind of semi-knew each other and what we were doing and everything, and it gave a wonderful platform to you had the other characters show you who you were. And that's, when you have really great actors like Murray and Dan and Ernie, and they, how they react to you shows partly who you are, and you respond to that. So it was a real kind of learning experience, and it just went strata by strata by strata. That's how I remember.
Ernie, you and I, we just spoke earlier in the week, and you told me some really moving and powerful stories about the reaction you've gotten to Winston over the years from African American viewers, kids. You ran into an actor in a bank, and I thought that was a pretty great story. Can I get you to tell about those experiences and encounters, and how Winston became a point of pride?
Yeah, you know, you get the job, you do the work, you know, you envision it a certain way. You don't think of, if I say this line, people will remember this line. You're not thinking about it. Amazes me 35 years later, you guys come up with lines. You know, this job is now worth $11,500 a year. I never thought anybody would hear that. People still remember the line. So, but I have run into over the years a lot of people of color, not just African Americans, but who say they were very, very happy that Winston was in the movie. And but I was right after the movie came out. I worked a television show called St. Elsewhere in Denzel, Washington. I did 8 episodes. Denzel was my doctor on the show, and I saw him in the bank, and he came up and said, "I saw Ghostbusters." He said, "Yeah, I really like it a lot. I love that character. Thanks for not embarrassing me." And as an African American, I knew exactly what he meant, and it's kind of hard to sometimes explain to people outside of the community, because so many shows you just feel the character is compromised in a way, and you feel that it reflects on you. So I think Winston, and even today at this event, a couple of people have come up and said how special it was to have Winston representing it in the film.
You know, from day one, I wanted Belushi and Eddie Murphy in the movie, so I was writing the parts for both of them when John died. I was writing John's line, a scene between myself, the character, and we didn't know who the other one was going to be. But then, of course, after John died, it all got stalled. And then I always wanted Eddie in the movie. I thought he'd make a great Ghostbuster.
Thanks, Danny.
I'm glad it worked out the way it did. I love that.
Well, we can add Eddie too, and you and all. You know, hey, you know. He would have enhanced it in a way, but no, it worked out better this way, much better.
Winston's got the heart, he's got the tools, he's got the talent. There are a couple other actors who aren't here. Well, one is gone, Harold Ramis, and I wondered if you guys could talk about your memories of him or your favorite stories of working with Harold on this movie.
Well, Harold was the great doctor, you know. Smart guy, wonderful man, and I met him along with Belushi and Bill Murray back in when I did I was fortunate when I started working with the National Lampoon magazine to do an off-Broadway theatrical show where they were all working together, and that's where I met Harold for the first time. And I always felt I had this great secret, because Harold was the one who didn't get hired by Saturday Night Live. And when I talked to the National Lampoon magazine about doing a movie, they said, well, look, if you ever do a movie that's based on the script that we have here in this sort of running stage show, then maybe you'll get to produce it and perhaps even to direct it. And so most of the cast, Gilda Radner, Belushi, Bill and Harold, everyone got picked up except Harold. And so I said, Harold, let's go write a script that's based on our show, because that way I get to do it as a movie, perhaps, if we could ever get it made. He started writing, and that movie actually became Animal House. And it was really the beginning of my career and his career. And the secret that I knew was that Harold was as strong as Bill Murray was, and John Belushi was, as Gilda was on that stage. Because he performed with them every single night, and he stood really strong. He just didn't have to get on Saturday Night Live. And so when I got to do Stripes, I immediately thought, well, Harold should co-partner with Bill Murray, that they would be great together, because I had seen them together. It was this sort of secret knowledge that I had. And it was a great pleasure to sort of work with him. And we ended up working together about 5 or 6 times in our lives, and really always thought of him as this brother of mine, and it's really a terrible sadness to have lost him when we did.
Dan, how about you? Any thoughts, memories of working on
I miss him
Ghostbusters
as a
with him?
collaborator. It was wonderful to write with him because he was so knowledgeable. Although he wasn't a believer in the supernatural, he knew all about the research that was being done around the world and all the paranormal departments and universities and the work of the Maimonides Dream Lab and Dr. Roll and the ASPR. He knew all that stuff that my great-grandfather had turned on to me through my dad and my grandfather, and he knew all those references. And then, of course, he knew what we were trying to do, to marry all of that real vernacular and all of the real science to the ghost movies of the 30s. Abbott and Costello, Bob Hope and Bing Crosby, the Bowery Boys, they all did ghost movies. And so he knew exactly what we were trying to connect with here, and he was just a great writing partner. And wonderful to work with as an actor, and just one of the funniest, most intelligent, kind of non-hysterical people I've ever met.
Ernie, any thoughts on Harold?
Yeah, you know, I've been working as an actor for, what was it, 84, something in 84, right? 83 when we started. So maybe about 15 years I've been an actor, but had really started working in film and TV a couple years before. So this is kind of, it was different. And these guys, I love them dearly, but you know, there's a little bit of insanity involved in the art.